In today's video, we are recapping a 2009 psychological thriller movie, titled Exam. Spoilers ahead, watch out and enjoy. At the start of the film, a group of 8 candidates prepares for a selection test for a lucrative corporate position. The setting is dimly lit, with desks evenly spaced throughout the room for each candidate. Surveillance cameras are in place to monitor their actions. Once the candidates are seated, a guard armed with a gun enters the room, followed by an individual who introduces himself as the invigilator without revealing his name. Setting forth the rule of the examination, the invigilator asserts that no national regulations apply within the examination hall. The candidates are solely bound by the rules of the exam itself. Interaction with the guard or the invigilator is prohibited. Moreover, intentionally or unintentionally damaging the paper, or leaving the room for any reason, will result in disqualification. The candidates are granted 80 minutes to complete the test, which consists of just one question. The person in charge asks if they have any questions, but no one says anything. So, he wishes them luck, starts the timer, and leaves. They turn their papers over and see that they are blank. They all look at each other, confused. As time goes on, they start to feel more and more nervous. So, the second candidate starts writing on her paper, explaining why she thinks she should get the job. The camera focuses on her paper, and the guard is instructed to remove her from the room because she ruined her paper. She pleads for another chance as the guard locks the door on her. Sometime later, candidate number 5 realizes that they can't talk to the invigilator or the guard, but they can talk to each other. They discuss different strategies to pass the test, but they're all equally puzzled. Throughout this, the first candidate remains silent. Candidate number 5 proposes that they use nicknames to talk to each other, so they can keep their real identities secret. He gives a name to the first candidate, Deaf, as he hasn't spoken yet. Then they use colors, black, white, and brown for the boys, and hair colors blonde, brunette, and dark to name the girls. Following this, White suggests standing up from their seats, since there's no rule against it. He takes the risk and stands up. To their relief, the guard doesn't react, indicating that they are allowed to move around. Brunette thinks that the questions might be written with invisible ink or a watermark. She gets up and uses the room's lights to check for hidden writing on the paper. Unfortunately, nothing becomes visible. Still, she encourages everyone to inspect their papers, as the question might be on just one of them. Everyone follows her lead except for Deaf, who remains seated and quiet. White takes his paper and examines it under the light. When they don't find anything, Black proposes that the writing might become visible under UV rays or X-rays. Blonde discovers emergency light strips in the room. Since there are no switches, the group decides to break the other light bulbs to trigger the emergency lights. After breaking all the light bulbs, the room suddenly turns blue due to the emergency lights. Everyone begins searching for the question on their papers, except for Deaf. However, their efforts yield no results once again as they can't see the question. Dark suggests removing the top layer of the light strip as it's not illuminated. This could potentially release UV rays that might help reveal the writing. They use the woman's heels to break the strips and unveil a different kind of light. Unfortunately, their hopes are dashed once more as these lights don't reveal anything either. The clock is ticking, and now they have only 60 minutes left. Deaf cries silently in his seat while the others observe him with a mixture of emotions. Then unexpectedly, the man starts speaking in French. He asks if they see something on the paper, and suggests that the paper reflects their image. However, they don't pay much attention to his words and return to brainstorming ideas. Dark confidently asserts that there's no one observing them, because the CEO of the company is quite hands-on. The CEO possesses complete authority and control over the company. Brown questions how Dark is so well informed about the CEO. It turns out that Dark is already employed by the company in the HR department, but has never met the CEO. She applied for a higher position and ended up here. White then admits that he was headhunted and offered the job. But the others say that they applied for it. Dark then provides some context, revealing that they are vying for a position at a renowned pharmaceutical company called Birog. A few years back, when a pandemic affected young people globally, Birog was the first to develop a cure. Then Brunette approaches the guard, and takes a lighter from his pocket without talking to him. She then gazes at the fire alarm, and the group plans to activate the sprinkler system using the lighter. To accomplish this, Brunette stands on a chair, but she can't quite reach the fire alarm. White aids her by passing a rolled up piece of paper to trigger the alarm. Soon, water starts pouring from the sprinklers, yet the papers on the desks remain unchanged. Just as the guard starts approaching the group, Brunette unfolds the paper she held in her hand. Shockingly, It's her paper and she ruined it. It's revealed that White has betrayed her, likely to eliminate competition. The guard seizes Brunette as she angrily addresses White as a traitor. After that, Black gets really mad at White. But when he yells, the lights suddenly go off. The group realizes that the lights are controlled by their voice levels. Def starts crying again, and White forces him to tear up his paper and eat it. The guard takes Def away because of this. Now, only 5 candidates are left. White claims he knows the answer to the question but won't tell anyone. This makes Black so angry that he punches White and knocks him out. The group ties White to a chair, and puts a tie in his mouth to keep him quiet. Later, White wakes up. Dark removes the tie from his mouth, and he asks for his medicine. He explains that he has the same virus they cured earlier, and he needs to take medicine every hour to stay alive. Soon, White's condition worsens, and he starts shaking. With only 15 minutes left on the timer, they search each other for the pill. Dark suspects Brown, and she's right when she finds the pill stuck to a piece of chewing gum under his table. Dark tries to give the pill to White, but Brown throws it into a vent. As they try to get it back, Dark goes in front of the camera and asks the Invigilator for help. But since they're not supposed to talk to the Invigilator, she's disqualified. After Dark is disqualified, Blonde uses a bobby pin to retrieve the pill and save White's life. She also unties him while doing so. White then shares his theory that the candidates themselves are the answers. Instead of searching for a question, he believes that the last person standing is the answer. The others start to agree with him. Before they can take any action, White rushes to the guard to get the gun, but Black intervenes and takes the gun for himself. He aims it at White. White asserts that he won't shoot anyone, and tries to grab the gun from Black. In the struggle, White manages to snatch the gun. However, when he tries to use it, he realizes the gun has fingerprint recognition. White uses the guard's hand to hold the gun and points it at the remaining candidates. He forces them to leave the room so that he can win the position uncontested. Brown, fearing for her life, obediently exits the room. Blonde, also scared, hesitantly follows him. But just as she's leaving, she shouts "Lights out." The room goes completely dark, causing White to panic and start shooting randomly in different directions. When the lights come back on, Black is lying motionless on the ground with a gunshot wound in his chest. White notices Blonde's foot still inside the room and thinks of shooting her too. But he realizes that the timer has stopped. Approaching the camera, White proudly declares himself the winner of the competition. As the guard approaches him, he reveals the time on his watch. To White's shock, there are still 20 seconds left on the timer, meaning he has broken the rule by talking to the Invigilator. The truth comes out that Def had manipulated the time when they were busy with other discussions. Now, only Blonde remains. She steps into the room and picks up Def's fallen glasses. Using them, she looks at her paper and discovers the words "Question 1" written on it. To her surprise, Def enters the room, revealing himself as the CEO of the company. Blonde confidently tells him no. The CEO and the Invigilator exchange smiles, recognizing that she has understood the question and passed the test. It turns out that the only question they needed to answer was the one the Invigilator asked them at the beginning of the test, if they had any questions. The entire exam was designed to assess the candidates' intelligence and attention to detail. Blonde is offered the role of administrator for their groundbreaking new medicine. The Invigilator discloses that Black isn't actually dead, and the bullet he was shot with is a capsule that heals the wound upon entry. This bullet contains their newly developed magical medicine capable of curing any ailment. Finally, Blonde accepts the job, and the movie concludes as she shakes hands with the CEO.